Hello and welcome to another episode of Media Dialogues with Storyboard18. I am Delshad Irani and today I'm in conversation with Peter Mears, who's the Global Chief Executive Officer of Havas Media Network. Peter is here with us today to talk about the major media trends that are shaping some of the world's biggest advertisers' media strategies in what is a bumper year. Peter is also a huge proponent of the meaningful media philosophy, and today he's going to decode that philosophy for us and how it's resonating with advertisers and Havas's clients all over the world. Hello and welcome to the show, Peter. It's lovely to have you here.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
And their visit after 2022, which was again a big visit to India, where you had, of course, said that you were hoping that India would become the third largest market globally for Havas. Now, tell me, by 2030, Peter, how far along are you in that journey of getting to that goal? What are some of the boxes that you've checked, that you're happy with, and what's left to do?
Well, there's a lot left to do, but we've made great progress. We've made great progress over the last couple of years. The team has made amazing strides against that ambitious goal that we laid out for them. In terms of how we've grown, we've obviously added new agencies to the portfolio from an acquisition perspective. So last year we acquired Pivot Roots, a Mumbai-based digital agency, which has been a huge addition to the portfolio, and those guys are really adding to our digital capabilities. So that's one box checked. Also, we've been able to win some new clients. So we were able to win Puma last year here in India, which is a global client for us. So it was great to extend that relationship here into the local market. And we also won Mama Earth, which is a great local win for us. So we're winning local clients, check. We're continuing to develop our talent base, which is amazing. We're now over 2,000 team members in India. And our client relationships and our client satisfaction continues to grow positively. So I think we've made amazing progress against that goal. We've still got some ways to go, but the team are on it and all signals are positive.
So what's top on your agenda then, Peter? Let me ask you that in terms of, what's left to do. What is top on your agenda going forward, say in the next 6 months? What do you have your eye on?
Yeah, I mean, we're continuing to look for new acquisition targets in the market. We set out a mandate 5 years ago to really focus on India as a growth market for us. And we have been very acquisitive at a group level over the last 5 years. That will continue, and we're hoping to see some more deals in 2024 and into 25.
And in which areas are you looking at?
I mean, the areas that we're focusing on globally are pretty consistent, and we're looking for performance capabilities. We're looking for data and technology additions to our portfolio, and we're also looking at any acquisitions in the e-commerce space. So those are the areas globally that we're looking to dive into, and that we've made a start on that here in India with Pivot Roots last year.
Of course, Peter, you have a global view on things, and tell me what's the report card like for Havas Media Network globally right now? In the first 3 months of 2024, the first quarter, how did it fare? What are you what's the report card? What are you happy with, and what needs work?
So we come off very positive 2023. We had great organic growth as a network last year, and we delivered top line and bottom line growth. So, we came into this year with high expectations, and so far, 3 months in, we're delivering on target, and we're on plan to get to where we want to get to at the end of the year. We're 3 months in, so that still we've got some mountains to climb, but all indications are positive so far.
And in that global scheme of things again, Peter, while we talked about India, of course, as a market specifically, individually, but in the global scheme of things, where does India stand in terms of leading the way, be it, strategies, practices? I mean, what is happening right now, but also what's the potential that you see in terms of this market leading the way for Havas?
Right. So India is a top 10 market for us today. So we've got some ways to go to get to that ambition that we have. But a lot of the areas that we are focused on as a network in terms of commerce and data. We have centres of excellence here in India, which are global areas of expertise and talent that help us globally with talent from this market. So, we expect that to continue, and we expect to continue that investment over the coming months.
Interesting. Of course, it's a big year, 2024.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, of course. Horrible things as well, but also there's a lot of interesting things, events happening. Of course, it's a big year in terms of many major markets across the world. They have elections. India we're going to the polls. There's of course this confluence of other events happening in markets like India with major events like the IPL. So what is happening? What are advertisers thinking? Where are they parking their money? Where's the media investment going? What are you seeing happening globally? And if you could then, sort of narrow it down to your view on what's happening in India with, again, this confluence of major events.
Yeah, there are a number of major global events happening this year. We've obviously got elections here in India. We've got elections in the US as well. We have an Olympics happening in France, our network home country.
Yes.
And we've got the IPL happening right now in India. And these events are generally good for advertising investment. We're seeing pretty robust investment levels and support behind many of these events globally, and that gives us some confidence levels as we look forward to the end of this year. We're still April, so it's early, but we have good visibility into Q3, and we feel quite optimistic about Q4 as well. So in terms of a read on this year, we think it's going to be in line with our earlier predictions on advertising expenditure, largely driven by those events. As it relates to India specifically, this has been a great IPL so far. When it's a good IPL, there's good advertising support, and all indications are that this is going to be a very successful tournament from a cricket perspective and from an advertising support perspective, which is encouraging because it's the biggest event on the calendar for this market. Obviously, the election, which has already started, is driving there's a big investment around that as well. So we're bullish on what expenditure levels look like here locally through the rest of this year. And we're not expecting it to see it tail off in Q4.
And in terms of narrowing it down and breaking it down in terms of media, of course, we've seen IPL, for instance, in India, right? We saw this huge digital surge happening last year, and it's just breaking records as we speak. So again, global view as well as sort of the India view on digital driving a lot of these, driving a lot of the AdX. Tell me how bullish are you on that versus say television and maybe other more traditional mediums, as well as then we have CTV. So just give me a sense of what's the strategy like. What are advertisers? What are some of your clients looking for?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to see growth in digital globally in almost every market around the world. But that's not necessarily at the expense of TV. TV is not falling off a cliff anywhere. Here in India, for example, the linear TV market is still a robust marketplace. What's changing, of course, is the rise of connected TVs, and that really is transforming the landscape here and in many other markets globally. And that trend will only continue. So, the emergence of the ability to have a cord-cutting population, cable-cutting population, depending on where you live, that really transforms the landscape. It's a trend that's here to stay. The Indian landscape is a little bit different. We expect that linear TV will remain a force for the next 5 years in this market. This is a very geographically dispersed population. Broadband penetration in many areas is still somewhat limited. So we expect that linear TV will remain a force here in India, probably beyond other markets actually. And that's how we're building our forecasts and expectations.
Right. And while we're on this track, Peter, let me ask you this. You're, of course, a huge proponent of the philosophy of meaningful media. Just for the uninitiated, what is it exactly? And after that, let me also ask you, are clients buying into it, especially given the challenges that marketers face today? It's, of course, a very complex environment that people are working in. Yeah. There's media fragmentation, there is this need for instant gratification in everything that we do. People are working on quarterly plans, and it's not those sort of long campaigns that are happening. So it requires that long build that happens. People might not have patience for that, and I'm assuming the philosophy of meaningful media requires a little bit more patience and long-term thinking. So decode it for us. Yeah. What is it, and how are clients resonating with it?
Yeah, so we launched the kind of notion, the concept of meaningful media about 5 years ago now, and it was in reaction to a very cluttered, fragmented media environment, concerns about fraud and an unsafe environment for many clients' advertising dollars, and also the changing technology marketplace as well. So we started thinking about how do we ensure that our clients can cut through in that, given those constraints and those challenges.
And so something new coming up every time, it was metaverse, and now, of course, everyone's talking about AI when you speak about tech.
Constantly transforming market, a dynamic market. How do we ensure that clients' investment is protected? So we landed on this territory of media, which is engaging, which is influential, and which is high impact. And meaningful media for us is media that delivers on one or more of those different criteria. And it's the media that you and I love spending time with. So if we can really tie into those most meaningful media moments, then we believe we'll have a greater impact for our clients. So we've developed a toolkit around this. We've developed a planning process called MX, Meaningful Media Experience, around this. And we rolled it out to our clients about 5 years ago. We're into the second version of it now, MX 2.0. Which we've rolled out in all markets, including here in India.
And how is that different from
what we've done is we've evolved the tools. So it ties into a question about AI. We've used AI technologies to infuse into a number of the tools that we've been developing to support MX. So now a lot of the audience identification work that we do is fueled by AI. We've also updated the process to reflect how the market has changed, even from when we launched 1.0, version 1.0. Today, post-pandemic, the role of content and activation is way more important than it was 5 years ago. So, if we're in the business of building meaningful media experiences, we really need to be able to deliver on that. So we launched an arm called Havas Play last year, which is our division to help bring together culture and content and activation. So we're really trying to surround consumers with really meaningful experiences, and that's resonating in the marketplace.
There's something interesting also. You have the meaningful rating point, and you have the meaningful digital matrix. Quickly, a little bit about this meaningful rating point, as well as the matrix.
Yeah. So what we tried to do was take the industry tools of GRPs or TRPs and make them more bespoke for a meaningful media experience. So we created the Meaningful TV Rating Point, the MRP, about 4 years ago. And it takes the criteria that we believe in that create meaningful media and applies it to television. So really allows us to surface the kind of shows that our audiences, our clients' audiences, have the deepest relationships with. And essentially it's the same concept with the digital space as well. So, the choices for an advertiser from a digital perspective are endless. So how do we really leverage meaningful media in a digital ecosystem? It's very challenging to do. So we created an algorithm to help us cut through and discard the digital media that is less meaningful. And ultimately our dream is that we'll be able to go to a media partner and transact on these rating points. So, actually buy and trade on these audiences and these rating points. And there are many media partners out there who are interested in having those conversations with us.
So when do you think that will happen? Do you have a sort of timeline on this?
Yeah, I mean, we're expecting this to happen in the next 2 to 3 years, depending on the market. It's different, but we've got some very developed conversations in the US and the UK already, and many media partners are interested and open to having different conversations around the trading audience kind of dynamics. So we're tying into that right now.
A few years ago, when your French rival Publicis had this entire sort of AI drive that it was doing with launching Marcel and this and that, there was a lot of criticism. Maybe you can just put your industry hat on and tell me, now that we're seeing this advent of AI happening, and there's of course a lot of excitement, there's a lot of hype, there's also a lot of fear.
A lot of nervousness,
Yes. So what's your view?
Yeah, I mean, my view and our view is that AI is not super new. We've been using machine learning and AI technologies inside the media division for a number of years now to help us do the fundamental work in a more efficient way. That will continue. We're leveraging different tools now. We're developing tools to help us with media planning, developing AI tools to help us with media planning. We see that continuing over the coming months and years. And my view is that these are tools that are there to help us do the fundamentals of the job more efficiently. And as long as we apply common sense and leverage human intelligence to access artificial intelligence, then that's okay. On the creative side of the house, obviously, with the rise of generative AI, it's a challenging moment, and we need to really understand what the potential of these technologies are, and make sure that we're well versed in them and that we can help our clients navigate them. I think they are going to transform some of the ways that the creative process is managed, and I think that's probably for good. There is probably a more efficient way to get through some of the work that happens during a creative process, and AI can help with that. We've put obviously multiple task forces in place to understand the technologies, to understand the different legalities around AI in different countries around the world.
Absolutely.
We're working on a framework to ensure that our clients are able to access and get best practices from all these different technologies.
And it's really important, sort of ahead of the game, especially with regulations coming in. Safety, of course, security, data privacy, all of that is top of mind. But because you started on sort of talking about, your creative stablemates, let me just ask you, of course, there's a sort of existential crisis happening on the creative side of the business. It's been going on for a while. And one of the things that we're seeing again an uptick of is in-housing. In India, for instance, we've seen a large number of major clients setting up again in-house capabilities, and of course you have the startups who are already doing it. We're also seeing big legacy FMCG players do it. Now on the media side, of course, P&G famously, Mark Pritchard decided to in-house media buying and planning, and they saw a 10% cost savings in markets that they've done this. And they've done it in their major markets, right, like US and China. Why is that happening, Peter, now, especially when we're seeing, so many firms like yours really sort of stepping it up, changing the game? Tell me, why are clients, major clients like P&G doing this?
Yeah, I think that there's kind of a cyclical nature to our industry, to our business, and we've seen waves of in-housing happen. I mean, I can remember 2 or 3 of these waves over the last 10 years. I think we are experiencing another one right now. And I think that, from my personal perspective, I see it as an opportunity for us to help clients on that journey. I don't see it as a threat to our business. We can help clients in-house their activity. We can help them with best practices. We can help them with talent. Fundamentally, that's what this is. It's a talent game. And the challenge with in-housing is that talent isn't always easy to find and easy to retain. And that when I talk about previous waves of in-housing, some of those experiments haven't been super successful because of the challenges of attracting talent. Obviously, what we have as agencies is we have access, probably more access than clients do to that talent. And so I think there's an opportunity for us. That's how we're approaching this, and those are the conversations that we're having with our clients is how can we help you with your in-housing goals? And that, with the rise of the importance of first-party data, there are some areas of the business that arguably can be in-housed and will be more efficient on that way. And we're here to help our clients on that journey.
So it's very positive view on things, and it's not a threat, but maybe an opportunity.
I think so.
But talent, right, Peter? I mean, of course, the advertising industry is bleeding talent, let's face it, whether they're going on to the client side or just leaving the industry altogether. What's your philosophy on, culture, retaining talent, making sure people thrive and don't, leave the business entirely? You've been in this business a long time, well over 2 decades. So
well over 2 decades.
I did the math.
Yeah.
So tell me, why did you stick around, and why is it that the generations of talent that we're seeing now are maybe not too keen to even perhaps get into the advertising industry?
It's a great question. Why did I stick around? The reason I stuck around is because this industry has provided me with endless opportunities to transform and change. This industry is so different than it was when I started. In fact, it's so different than it was 2 years ago. So the constant kind of dynamism, the constant transformation keeps it really exciting and interesting for me. So that's why I've stayed in this for well over 2 decades, as you politely put it. I think that the challenge is that this industry is constantly transforming and constantly changing. So how do we keep the next generation of teammates engaged and involved and ready for those challenges and ready for that change? And that requires culture. And you raised the answer in the question, really, is how do we ensure that we create an interesting and motivating environment for the next generation of leaders? It's all about talent. It's all about culture.
It's people.
And
like you said, even though there's AI, it's human intelligence is what you need.
The fundamentals of this business are the same. It's about people doing great work and wanting to create great work for clients. And I think if you get the right people around doing great work, then that's pretty simple ingredients for what's going to create a successful business. Talent retention is priority number one for all of us, and it's been tough over the last couple of years. Coming out of the pandemic, there was huge churn, not just from our agency, but from the industry, as you mentioned. We're seeing that stabilize now, but I think we have a responsibility to be constantly evaluating how we're performing as an employer, as an industry, to ensure that we're creating an environment that attracts the best talent and retains it. And we have mechanisms internally at Havas. We have an employee satisfaction survey that we run twice a year called Havas, and we're constantly measuring our local leaders to ensure that they are listening to what their people are saying and adapting and transforming and giving them opportunities to grow. And that's a huge challenge for all of us, and probably most for me.
Why is that?
Well, because it's the thing I worry most about. We have inside the group, there are 23,000 teammates. Inside the media division, it's 11,000. I want to make sure that those people are doing the best work of their careers and having the best time of their careers while they're at Havas. And that's a responsibility that I take very seriously. Yeah,
that's a huge responsibility. Yeah. Let me ask you a bit of a personal question. I read something very interesting, Peter, where you said that you previously described yourself as the son of a psychotherapist and an engineer, saying that it is the perfect creation for a media person. Yeah. Elaborate on that, please.
Yeah, I mean, the psychotherapist piece is understanding humans and understanding what makes them tick. And the engineering side of things is understanding what makes machines tick and understanding how you put things together. And I think blending that human insight and that human understanding with the understanding of technology and how to make things work is kind of very useful for creating media plans, because you need to understand humans and understand how humans tick, and you need to understand how to reach them using different technologies and different media channels. So for me, that grounding has been very helpful for me.
And perhaps shaped you, of course, and your outlook on, and even the idea of meaningful media, right? I mean, I think that is at the core of it, because it is about the technology, it's about the tools and all of that, but you need
the human layer is absolutely critical to being able to understand how to reach people. And I think sometimes we forget about that. We lost that. Yeah, I think so. I mean, and that's one of the pushes that I put on the organization, is when we're putting plans together, let's remember that there are human beings at the end of those plans, that we're trying to reach humans with our brands, our clients' messages, and understanding why they're doing what they're doing and why they're consuming the media they're consuming is critical to being able to put the right plan together. And so that human layer, I think we have lost that a little bit. And creating meaningful experiences, media experiences, is our way of getting back to that.
I like that. I like that we sort of came back in our conversation to, back to meaningful media and meaningful experiences. Well, thank you so much for your time, Peter. It was genuinely lovely chatting with you.
It's been really nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.